Ethan McCall never used to notice how quiet the house got at night. But lately, the silence inside their Portland home felt wrong, too heavy, too dense, like the walls were withholding something. It was late October, and the street outside glowed beneath a row of orange-tinted lamps, the kind that made the rain shimmer like thin threads of copper. Portland rain had its own voice, a steady tapping that normally soothed him. Tonight, it scraped at his nerves. He stood in the dark hallway, staring at the thin line of light coming from under the bedroom door. The light had been on when he got home. It was still on. And Lily wasn't in there. That made it 3 nights in a row. Inside his chest, something pulsed, not pain exactly, but pressure, like a bruise sitting under his ribs. Ethan lifted his phone again and checked the time. 11:42 p.m. No message. She always used to text. Work is running late, clinic is hectic tonight, be home soon. Lily was a physician assistant at one of the clinics in East Portland, long hours, shift changes, unpredictability. That part wasn't new. What was new was the silence. He opened the front door and stepped outside, feeling the cold drizzle settle on his face. He scanned the street, the rows of modest craftsman houses, the glistening road with nobody on it at this hour. Everything looked normal. But nothing felt normal. Finally, he heard the distant crunch of tires. A silver Subaru turned onto their block, familiar headlights sweeping across the road. Ethan didn't move. The car parked. The engine shut off. Lily stepped out. She startled when she saw him on the porch. Ethan. God, you scared me. Why are you standing out here? He studied her, wet hair, flushed cheeks, the subtle tremor in her voice. She wasn't wearing her clinic scrubs. She wasn't carrying her work bag. Where were you? He asked quietly. She opened her mouth, paused, then forced a small tired smile. I told you, they called me in to help with an emergency. I forgot my scrubs and had to make do. Ethan let his eyes travel down her outfit, jeans, boots, a fitted sweater. Makeup slightly smudged. Since when do emergencies require mascara? He said softly. Lily exhaled, a small, irritated breath. Ethan, not tonight, okay? I'm exhausted. She brushed past him and walked inside. Ethan didn't follow immediately. He watched the rain filling the shallow gutters, watched the Subaru's taillights fade as the car security system blinked. On the ground by the front tire, something caught his eye, a faint smear of lipstick on a napkin tucked under the wheel well, like it had blown there. It wasn't Lily's shade. He bent and picked it up. That pressure under his ribs tightened. He didn't say anything yet. Not tonight. But the light in the house, and in Lily's eyes, was no longer the same. The next morning arrived gray and muted, like most Portland mornings. Ethan woke to the smell of coffee drifting through the house. Normally, that smell comforted him. Oregon coffee was rich, earthy, the kind that wrapped around your senses like a warm blanket. Today it did nothing. He walked into the kitchen. Lily stood at the counter, stirring her mug. She looked off. Not guilty, not exactly. More like unsettled, restless, the way she looked the winter her mother passed away. Morning, she said with a forced smile. He nodded. Lily slid a mug toward him. He didn't touch it. What's on your agenda today? She asked. Meetings, he said. Deadlines. He worked as a structural engineer, designing small-scale commercial buildings, offices, retail spaces, remodeled warehouses. He liked the precision, the straight lines, the certainty that steel and concrete never lied. Not like people. Lily tucked hair behind her ear. I'll be late again tonight. We're short-staffed. Ethan didn't speak. She hesitated. Ethan, don't look at me like that. Like what? Like you're waiting for me to confess something. He lifted his eyebrows. Should you? Her jaw tightened, a crack of emotion flashing in her eyes. "I don't know what's gotten into you," she snapped quietly. "You've been so suspicious lately." "Because something's different," he said. "You're different." "I'm tired," she said sharply. "Burnt out." "That's it." But he heard the shakiness beneath her words, the way she avoided his eyes. She left for work 10 minutes later. Ethan sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at the napkin he'd found by her car. He set it next to her coffee mug. Lipstick mark bold and unmistakable. A chill ran through him. Things like this didn't just happen. Not in Portland's quiet neighborhoods. Not in marriage beds that used to feel steady. Not between two people who promised to be each other's home. Unless something was breaking. By Thursday, Ethan couldn't shake the tension. He tried to focus on work, blueprints, load calculations, emails. But Lily's strained voice and late nights kept intruding. At lunch, he sat in his truck and opened the clinic's public schedule. He wasn't spying, he told himself. He was clarifying. Lily was listed for day shifts all week. But she'd claimed late shifts. She'd claimed emergencies. And he'd found her wearing going-out clothes. The pressure in his chest deepened, solidifying into something sharp. He texted her. "What time do you get off today?" 5 minutes passed. 10. Finally. Around 7. "Why?" He typed. "Just wondering if you wanted to grab dinner." 3 dots, then they disappeared. A minute later. "I can't. Too busy." Ethan watched the message fade into the gray Oregon afternoon and felt something inside him tilt. He wasn't a jealous man. Never had been. He trusted Lily, for years, trust had been the easiest thing in the world. But something was happening. And pretending otherwise would be a lie. Friday evening, rain pooled on the sidewalks as Ethan stopped at a small cafe near the clinic. Portland adored its cafes. This one was cozy, with brick walls, Edison bulbs, quiet indie music. He ordered tea and waited for Lily's shift to end. Except, according to the schedule, she wasn't working today. He didn't want to confront her. He wanted to see for himself. At 7:06 p.m., he looked up and froze. Lily's silver Subaru turned into the parking lot across the street. She stepped out. She wasn't alone. A man exited the passenger side. Tall. Dark jacket. Confident stride. Lily laughed, a laugh Ethan hadn't heard in months. She touched the man's arm. The man touched her waist. Ethan's world narrowed to a soundless point. Lily leaned in and kissed him quickly, not long, but familiar. Intimate. Ethan's hand slid off the mug. Hot tea spilled over the table. He didn't feel it. He stood, walked outside into the rain, but they didn't see him. They were too busy walking toward the restaurant entrance, shoulder to shoulder, smiling at each other like something new and bright had just begun. Ethan couldn't breathe. He backed away, turned, and walked blindly in the opposite direction. His heart hammered against his ribs, not from anger yet, but from grief so deep it hollowed him out. His wife was cheating. Not maybe. Not possibly. Absolutely. He didn't confront her that night. He spent hours driving around Portland, through the Pearl District, across the Willamette River, past dimly lit breweries and neon food cart pods. Everything felt surreal, like the city had shifted into a version of itself he didn't recognize. He finally returned home close to midnight. Lily's car was already in the driveway. Inside, she sat on the couch, feet curled under her, scrolling her phone. She looked up. "Hey. You're late." "So are you," he said. She blinked. "What's that supposed to mean? Where were you?" "Told you, late shift." "No," he said softly. "You weren't." Her face faltered. He stepped closer. I saw you, Lily. The room fell silent, suffocatingly quiet. Saw what? She whispered. You know what? Color drained from her face. Her lips parted. Ethan. He waited. She looked down at her hands. When she lifted her gaze again, her eyes were full of fear, not of him, but of the truth. It wasn't planned, she said. It just happened. The words sliced through him. He swallowed. Who is he? Someone from the clinic. His name is Ryan. How long? A long pause. 3 months, she whispered. Something inside Ethan cracked, loudly, painfully, like a beam under too much weight. 3 months. 3 months of lies. 3 months of stolen nights and emergency shifts that never existed. 3 months of her choosing someone else. He sat down, unable to stand. Lily burst into tears. I didn't mean for any of this. That makes it worse, he said, voice shaking. You didn't mean for it, but you still kept doing it. Ethan, I'm sorry. Don't, he snapped. The word echoed through the room. She covered her face with her hands and wept. He didn't comfort her. He couldn't. Something was dying between them, and both of them could feel it. The next week unfolded like a dream they were both trapped in. Lily slept in the guest room. Ethan worked longer hours. They barely spoke. When they did, it was clipped, strained, like two people trying to navigate the broken pieces of a life they used to share. One evening, Lily approached him on the porch. We need to talk, she whispered. He nodded stiffly. I ended it with him, she said. It's over. Why? He asked, not because he wanted her back, but because he needed to understand. Because I want to fix this, she said through trembling lips. I want us. He looked away. The distant sound of Mac's light rail cars echoed through the neighborhood. You didn't end it for me, he said. You ended it because you got caught. Her breath hitched. Ethan, please. He shook his head. I don't know if I can forgive this. The truth was, he couldn't even forgive himself for not seeing it sooner. 2 days later, everything collapsed for good. Ethan returned home early to grab project files he'd forgotten. When he walked into the living room, he froze. Lily was on her phone, crying, whispering urgently. No, Ryan, I can't. I said we have to stop. No, I miss you too, but he's home more now. I know. I know. Please don't say that. Ethan's pulse roared. She still loved him. She still wanted him. She wasn't trying to repair their marriage, she was negotiating with her affair. He stepped into the doorway. Lily gasped and dropped the phone. Ethan stared at her, and something inside him finally, irrevocably snapped. I was a fool, he said quietly. But not anymore. Ethan, wait. No, he said. I'm done waiting. For the first time, he felt clear. Coldly, painfully clear. We're finished, Lily. She broke down instantly. Please, we can go to counseling. Counseling can't undo what you chose to do, he said. He walked past her, grabbed his files, and left. Behind him, he heard Lily sobbing, begging, breaking. But he kept walking. For the first time in months, he felt like he could finally breathe. Within a week, the divorce papers were drawn. Ethan didn't want her money. He didn't want the house. He wanted freedom, and truth. But he did want one last thing. For Ryan to face consequences. Not illegal ones. Not violent ones. Just the truth. Ethan sent an anonymous tip to Ryan's employer, a clinic where workplace relationships with subordinates were strictly prohibited. Ryan was put on administrative leave pending investigation. Lily found out 2 days later. She stormed to Ethan's temporary apartment in Northwest Portland. "How could you do that?" she cried. "He's losing his job." "You risked your marriage," Ethan said. "He risked his career. Actions have consequences." "That was cruel," she whispered. "Cheating is crueler." She stared at him, devastated, angry, defeated. "This isn't you," she said. "No," he replied. "This is who I became because of you." She left without another word. Ethan closed the door gently behind her. He didn't regret it. Not one bit. 3 months later, they met at a small downtown office to finalize everything. Portland's winter had rolled in, gray skies, icy rain, fog hugging the old brick buildings. They sat across from each other at the conference table. Lily's hands shook as she signed the last page. "It didn't have to end this way," she whispered. "Yes," he said. "It did." She looked at him with wet, broken eyes. "Will you ever forgive me?" He stood, gathering his copies of the documents. "Maybe one day," he said. "But not today. And not in a way that brings us back together." She swallowed hard. "I never stopped loving you," she whispered. Ethan paused. "I stopped loving you," he said gently. "On the night I saw you kiss him. And that was the last truth between them." He walked out of the building without looking back. Outside, the Portland rain washed over him, cold, cleansing, honest. For the first time in a long time, the silence didn't feel suspicious. It felt peaceful. Freeing. He didn't know what came next, healing, rebuilding, starting over. But it would be his life now. And he would live it without lies.